Okay, great. Thanks very much for the introduction, and thanks for joining in this post-lunch session. So what I'd like to do today is take you through a company called New Dimension. This is a relatively new company. The current company, as we'll see it now, has been around since May last year. So this company was formed earlier today. There was a presentation from a sister company of ours called Awali Resources. We all used to be part of a company called Mariana Resources, which was acquired in 2017 by Sandstorm Gold, which, as you know, is a royalty company. Because they do not do exploration work themselves, they allowed us to take the Ivory Coast assets out into a company called Awali, and what you'll see here is we've taken the Argentine assets, the Santa Cruz portfolio of projects, into a company called New Dimension. This is a typical scenery of Patagonia. This is the part of the world we're operating in Argentina. This is flat, easy to operate countryside, very good geological potential, and as you can see, no people, no vegetation, so very, very straightforward to operate here. The forward-looking statements, you would have seen those before. But just to explain a little bit about the steps when we took the Argentine projects out of Sandstorm. Essentially, what we did acquire was this very large portfolio, 860 square kilometres, which Mariana in its day had spent quite a bit of money exploring these, so a lot of the base work had already been completed on these projects. We took them out of Sandstorm, put them into this company called New Dimension, which also had and still has 2 projects in Canada as well. So you can really look at this as an Americas-focused play. So the 2 projects we have in Canada, Savant Lake, which is a 100% owned project in Ontario, and the Domain project in Manitoba, which is a joint venture with Yamana. As I mentioned, the Santa Cruz portfolio, very prospective part of the world. It's a very large portfolio, 860 square kilometres. We continue to be actively exploring there, although we are coming now into the southern winter. We've had some exploration success over the last quarter. Some new high-grade vein assemblages have come up on 2 of the projects, one being Los Cisnes and the other one Serra Blanca. And we do have a resource on one of the projects. So the goal for New Dimension is essentially the discovery of 2 million or better ounces of gold of high grade. So when we talk about high grade, we're talking about 8 to 10 grams of gold or better. So the resource we do currently have at Los Cisnes, at Las Calandrias, is still a relatively small resource. We have about 400,000 ounces of gold in the indicated category and about 6 million ounces of silver. So we haven't quite got there in terms of there's a lot of exploration ongoing, but the target is to continue with that work and identify more of these high-grade targets. The same at Savant Lake here in Canada, or I should say next door in Canada. What we are looking at here are iron formation-hosted gold deposits, much akin to Goldcorp's Musselwhite mine, and we also have potential for high-grade VMS or base metal type discoveries as well. And the third project area is Domain. Now, this is in Manitoba. Now, we are not the operators of this project. This is a joint venture with Yamana. So for the moment, we don't have any work proposed for this project. But as soon as our joint venture partner does propose a work program, we will take a look at taking that forward. Just in terms of capital structure, this is a TSXV listed company. Shares outstanding, 62 million. On a fully diluted basis, just a bit over 70 million shares. Market cap, like everybody else, has been hammered in the current markets. Major shareholders, Sandstorm Gold remains a very supportive shareholder of the company, and New Dimension insiders and management also holding a very big parcel. So for those who aren't familiar with the Santa Cruz province, this is just a map of the Deseado Massif. There are a lot of mid-tier Canadian and US companies operating in this part of the world, and also a South African company in Anglo Gold. So the companies you'd probably be more familiar with, McEwen Mining is involved in San Jose up in the far northwest corner. You have Goldcorp at Cerro Negro. You have Yamana at Cerro Moro. And I might also add too that Cerro Moro was actually a discovery for those who have been long enough in the market here. Would probably remember us from Extori Gold. That was a discovery that we made and sold to Yamana back in 2012. So we do have a lot of experience in this part of the world. And Cerro Vanguardia is the granddaddy of all the operations here, having been in production for the last 20 years or so. So just in terms of our own portfolio, so we've been very busy working our own ground at the moment. The idea is we're really in this, as I mentioned, the target for the company is to get to 2 million ounce, another Cerro Moro type discovery. And Cerro Moro in its day was 2 million ounces running half an ounce of gold and 800 grams silver, so very, very high grade deposit. But really that's the kind of discovery we're looking at. These are epithermal vein fields, and we do continue to look for these kind of targets. Los Cisnes, we've had a lot of success in the first half of this year. Basically, we've discovered some new zones. Last year, we drilled a zone called Brio on the property. In the interim this year, we've discovered 2 new zones, one called Bagual and Potranca. And the idea with the photograph next door is really to show sometimes you're fortunate that the veins are exposed on surface, and sometimes they're actually under very thin overburden. In the case of Bagual, you can actually see the vein zone is sitting under about half a metre of cover. So it does take a little, they're very close to surface, but they're not always exposed on surface. So it does take a little bit of work to bring these targets forward. This is another one of the projects that we've been working in Santa Cruz. This is the Sierra Blanca project. Again, the scenery is typical of all of Patagonia. This is fairly flat, easy to operate. As I mentioned, when the veins are exposed on surface, they're very easy to identify. In this particular case, trenching on this vein, or I should say channel sampling, returned about 9 metres, running about 2,000 grams silver. So very, very high-grade silver in this particular project. Las Calandrias, this is the project that I mentioned where we do have an existing resource. There's actually 2 components to this system. One is a bulk tonnage low-grade type deposit, which is Calandria Sur. Our focus has been on the higher grade mineralization, which are these vein sets to the north, for example, in Calandria Norte and Morena. And we did have the resource come out last year. As I mentioned, this is the breakdown of the 400,000 ounces of gold plus the 6 million ounces of silver. So it's not as big as the resource that we're looking for. The target is beyond this, but it's a good start in terms of at least having a resource to base the company on. So just in terms of the Canadian project, so for us, Argentina, the Santa Cruz province remains a priority area. Having said that, we do hold some good concessions in the Archean Greenstone belts, in the Abitibi belt. Here in Ontario, we basically have the Savant Lake gold project. The interesting thing with Savant Lake is that this is the first time that this property package has been pulled together under the one company roof. Previously, different owners had different parts of this. We have a very large block, about 200 square kilometres, but we've done a lot of airborne geophysical work and a lot of work on the ground, and there's some very, very good potential here for Musselwhite type gold mineralisation. As I mentioned there are some very good gold showings on surface. There were a number of showings carrying over 30 grams per tonne, up to a maximum 138. So this is a property that as we are coming into the northern summer now, this is an area that we will be working over the next few months with the idea also of bringing this to drill status very shortly. And the other main project that we have, of course, is Domain. As I did mention, this is in Manitoba. This is an area that Yamana is very keen on because they also have the Monument Bay project to the north of us. But for the moment, there is no work proposed for this. Yamana is the operator here, but this could also be a project that could very quickly get into resource status. But for the moment, we don't have a work program proposed. So one of the key things about the company are the people. One thing is to have good projects. The other thing is to be sure of the team that you're backing. In our case, we've had 2 major discoveries which we've sold on. As I mentioned, we were owners of the Cerro Moro project as Extoria Gold Mines. We sold that to Yamana in 2012. We had a high-grade discovery in Turkey called Hot Martin, which we sold to Sandstorm in 2017. So we've had the experience of making discoveries, bringing resources to the table, doing the initial mine stages or the mine designs, and then selling the company. So we've had a lot of experience in terms of discovery and advancing projects, and not just myself, but the whole team that goes behind the company. So just in terms of further information, we are here. I think we're in booth B27, I think it is. So please come on through at any point if you would like to see any more information. But in any case, those are our details there. So that was just a brief overview of what New Dimension has to offer for investors. Thank you.